When he did that, something snapped in me. I went in the kitchen over in the marina, got a big knife and ran out and ran to him. I was ready to stab him. I was running towards him. He grabbed a bamboo and tried to fight me with the bamboo. And he wanted to beat me again, like lick me in my face. But instead, well, I must have shifted or something, he got hurt. I went to the police and asked them for help. And you know what the police told me? They said, oh, you know, all you do is you kill him and it's self-defense then. 5 hours, you know, straight. I wonder if he was on any drug or something, probably. I went to the police and said, look, this is a situation. Drew is out of the marina now. We have nothing to do with him anymore, just in case, because I knew him, you know.
Hey my lovelies, it's your girl Mel. Welcome back to my channel, and as usual mommy is sitting right beside me, so I know what is about to happen. So mommy, just do your thing as always.
Disclaimer: the stories that I'm going to tell in this series are my experience, my truth, and my point of view over the past 38 years that I have been in Jamaica, and it's in no way intended to slander any person, the culture of Jamaica, or the island as a whole. Hi Mel's lovelies. Yeah, today I decided to introduce, or not even introduce, but to go in a little bit in more depth with one other person that was a big part of our family. And then consequently, well, you will see. This person is Zanai. Zanai was a young boy when we started to live in Norwich at the time. Remember, that was the time when Mayumi was 1 year old and my sons were then like 9 and 7. And we moved to Norwich, and across the road there was this family, and Zanai was one child of that family. And he decided to just come over and hang out with us and was playing with my children, and eventually he practically moved in. He was sleeping in the boys' room, got up in the morning, did what he had to do over in his house or went to school or whatever, and came back every afternoon. He would have dinner with us, breakfast with us. He was practically another child in my house. And actually I started to call him my adopted son. When we moved to the marina, he practically moved with us too. When we, well, first up in Bliss, then down in the marina, and he was on the houseboat, same way with my children and hanging out and stuff. So he was like definitely a part of the family. But what happened at one point in time, we had less staff at the time. We had started to cut down on people and staff because business wasn't going that well. Money was tight, and then everybody of the family was supposed to help out. And his job would be to basically rake the yard and help clean up, sweep out the marina part, and part of it was to clean the toilet. We got our 2 toilets. And he did that for a little while, and then one day there must be something in the toilet that didn't please him, and it come back and I'm never going to go in a toilet again. I'm not going to clean it up again. But we have to rely on everybody doing his part of the job, because I mean my children were actually doing their part too. They had their jobs to do. So he was just part of it. So I kind of got angry with him. And I said, okay, you have a choice, right? Either you help us and you do your job, which include to clean the toilet, or, well, I can't have your own. So he chose to leave. He went back to Norwich with his family, and I didn't see him for quite a while. And when I saw him again is part of the story that I'm going to tell you now. This part of the story now is, I think, the very last time all of us are going to hear from Drew. Because there was a time when I had to decide to separate from him, to basically throw him out.
Remember, guys, quick intermission, Drew is my father.
Or sperm donor, yeah. No, father. Sorry. Anyhow, throughout all in all, Joe and me were together for 7 years. The relationship never had been easy. He had this tendency to become violent pretty easy sometimes. Actually, he was a very moody person. Well, if he was like in a good mood, he would be the most charming, friendly, wonderful person. But then sometimes it came like he would pull a switch. And from 1 second to the next, he became this absolute, sorry to say, monster. Because he could just get and start shout and curse and go on and for hours at the time. Easy. And everybody around him was like completely like, whoa, what happened here? Who is that? And what did he do with Drew? You know, and it's like it started to happen more and more. For example, when I was pregnant with her, the last few weeks, I wanted him to run the place, so I could, like the last 3 weeks or so, so I could get a little rest before giving birth. And so he took over, and about 3-4 days into him taking over, my staff came to me and said, sorry Sabina, but we are not going to work with him. He is so irrational, and he demands things of us. No, we are not going to work with him. Find somebody else or you have to do it. So basically I took over back and did what I had to do. If you remember her birth story, 12 hours after her birth, I was sitting in the marina doing my bookwork. So that was one of the situations. Or else he would even go in the restaurant part and start his tantrums there that even customers would complain. Some of them not even knowing who he was and what his position was, basically, and would say, what is this guy doing here? Why don't you throw him out? He's making too much noise. And so it was a very, very unpleasant situation, apart from all the attacks he had on me. One day he went definitely too far. He was in his cursing tantrum again, and all the time it was going on me too, like calling me a Nazi Schwein, which is like a Nazi pig. Remember, he spoke German, and then he told me how much my mother was a whore and my father her pimp. You know, and my father died when I was 1 year old. I have never had a father, and I never know anything about that. My mother was a wonderful person, right? And when he did that, something snapped in me. I went in the kitchen over in the marina and got a big knife and ran out and ran to him. I was ready to stab him. And when to get me into a state of mind like that, you must know it takes a lot. I mean, I'm very patient. I'm a person that takes in a lot. But that time it was way too much. So I was running towards him. He grabbed a bamboo and tried to fight me with the bamboo, keep me away. My two sons and I think another person, 3 people had to hold me back, you know. I was so infuriated. And if they didn't get to hold me back, this man would be dead now. I was so... I mean, everything did accumulate at the time. You know, and it was like...
It built up on it and you
overkill.
Yeah.
Seriously. So they held me back and he ran out. I mean, he ran out. Not walk.
Telling us about me, I'm a bad girl, you know.
Yeah, no, but I mean, seriously, to get me to a state like that, it's like, afterwards I was astonished about myself. I said, whoa, how did I reach here, you know? But I was damn serious at that point in time. In hindsight, 7 years is a long time to live in an abusive relationship, right? And in hindsight, I have to say, I think the reason why I tried so long is because, I mean, the relationship with my son's father was finished after 10 years, which, I mean, we split amicably. Then the situation with Mayumi's father, and now I had another child with this man, and I just wanted some normalcy. I wanted a family. I wanted a father for this child. You know, and when he was in a good mood, he was a good father. He would take care of her and play with her and be nice and what a father should do. So, I mean, of course, he was not only this bad person. There were times when we had a really good time. After she was born, for a good while, he kind of cooled down completely and did not get any of his tantrums. And so my hope was building up and saying, oh, maybe it happened now. We can finally be a family. But then after a while, it deteriorated again. So it was a real hard situation for me. On one side, I wanted this family. On the other side, I couldn't really do it any longer because my children were suffering. I mean, my other three children were suffering. When my mother came to visit, she started to look at him in the morning and say, oh, what kind of mood is he in? You know, because when he was in a bad mood, you couldn't even say good morning to him. And he would get off, you know. When he was in a good mood, no problem. Like I said, very nice, very charming. The most amicable person in the world. But boy, if that switch was flipped, no more. So basically, one day, he started to quarrel again, and I had Melody on my arm. I held her like this, and he wanted to beat me again, like lick me in my face. But instead, well, I must have shifted or something, he got her. And that was very shortly, actually it was a day before my birthday that year.
How old was I?
3 years. So I took another 3 years of that. Because, like I say, I wanted a family. So he got her instead. And something then suddenly really switched in my head. Finally, to say. And I said, no, that's it now. I mean, I could not see anything get better. And now this was like, hey, you get your own. And he wasn't even sorry when you got her. No, it's not like he said, oh my God, and I didn't want this. No, he was like going on like nothing happened at that point in time. And so he finally left, and then I said, so, that's it. I called my other children. The boys were, at the time, they were big boys, you know. They were, 19 and 17. And I said, okay, guys, please help me to pack all of Drew's things. And they were like, yay, finally. You know, no, they were really suffering. And that's the one thing I am, up to this day, I'm very regretful about and very sorry about. But I think people who have been in an abusive relationship have an idea how it is to be in there and how hard it can be to get out. I mean, for outstander, it's always, well, all you have to do is get out of it. But there is a lot of things involved. Plus, too, he had managed to put down my self-esteem to a degree that I kind of felt helpless. Look at me now and look at me then. I mean, I was practically believing, because he told me, oh, you're holding me down only because of you. I don't have a house and a car and I this and that. And by the way, I mean, that is how many years ago now? You're 27, 24 years ago. He still doesn't have a house or a car. So it wasn't me. But you see, when you get accused on an almost daily basis to be wrong here and bad there and doing this and like the Nazi Schwein thing, and it was like it goes on your self-esteem and it pushes it way down. And actually, after he left, it took me about 1.5 years to build myself up. It took a long time. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, that day we decided to put all these things. We packed everything. I mean, everything. Even his personal plate or cup or something that was gone in some boxes and some stuff. We had a shed outside. I put everything in the shed. And when he turned up, I think it was like in the evening, he turned up back. Oh, and let me mention one more thing. I was, in those years, there was 1 or 2 situations where it was that bad that I went to the police and asked them for help. And you know what the police told me? They said, oh, you know, all you do is you kill him, and it's a self-defense then. Because, I mean, they are not, everybody in Port Antonio basically knew the situation, because Port Antonio is small. We were living right in the center of the town, and people would see and hear and get whatever was going on.
And news travels fast.
And news travel very fast. And they, I mean, I looked at them and said, are you serious? And they said, yeah, because what they did not want to do at the time is get involved with any form of domestic violence or problems. Because, I mean, which I can understand too. A lot of times when a couple get into a big fight, afterwards the woman start to kind of accuse the people who help her. And why did you interfere? I feel with business. Now, for me to go to the police, that would never have happened, of course, because I mean, I really seriously was seeking some support, some help. But no, they told me seriously, all you do is kill him. You get self-defense, don't worry yourself. We as police will even be witness that you have this problem since a long time, so don't worry yourself. Well, that was not the reason why I tried to kill him at one time, although the information I got from before. But of course, I'm not somebody who would ever go that way. But I can see some other people or women, if they are in a certain situation, that they would refrain to that.
If that's the advice they get from the police.
That is the advice you get from the police that time. I mean, nowadays they respond a little bit faster to domestic violence. They have changed their outlook on that. But at that point in time, they would not interfere. So I put all these things kind of saying, okay, I hope it will not be a big drama. He came home that evening and I told him, look here, your things are in the shed, please take them and go. We are finished, it's over with, cannot do it any longer. Now, I think at that point in time he was so shocked that he didn't even react. He just turned around, walked out and was gone for that evening. And for me it was like, whew. And then actually not the same day or not the day after, but about 2-3 days after, he came and really picked up his things. Still no big reaction. So for me it was like, whoa, this was nice, this was easy. The moment I set him out. And you know, one more thing I would like to mention too, after the disaster with Mayumi's father, I had decided to never ever depend on a man again. That is why the business was mine, the houseboat was mine, the car was mine. I had my own money, my own income, right? I did definitely not depend on Drew for anything. And that was the wisest decision, because imagine now, as a woman, if you depend on your man, you'll have practically no chance, especially in Jamaica, to get out. So that was a real good thing for me, that I was completely independent. Nothing basically changed for me, only that this miserable person was out of my life. And finally, no more violence, no more tantrums, peace and quiet. So the day after I threw out Drew, who suddenly appeared? Zanai was back. He came in, walked in and said, well, I think now you need a man in your life again, you know? Somebody who defend you. Just walking back, you know, on the houseboat. And I was like kind of grateful, because although the boys were there and old enough and could defend everything, but I mean, it was nice to have another person on board. And just...
and when she says man in her life, not...
No, but he was my son, remember? But he wanted a male person to defend the whole situation.
Yes, a man in the house again, basically.
Exactly.
He was older than the boys, right? Or is he...
He is older than the boys even, yeah. So, I mean, it was like... It was like a security feeling. I was grateful for him to think that I needed protection, or we needed protection, and he would be willing to provide. And then I think it was about 2 weeks after I threw out Drew, in the middle of the night, it was like about 3 o'clock in the morning, and the houseboat, we never locked it. The doors were closed but never locked. Suddenly the front door opened, and Drew came in shouting and the usual tantrum and going on, and we were all like, oh my God, you know. And he was, honestly, he was on this houseboat until from 3 to about 8 o'clock in the morning, doing nothing but shouting. He became hoarse in the end. He couldn't even and still going on. And we were all just, I mean, my 3 boys were in front of me protecting me, so he couldn't attack me. The girls were kept behind too. So basically all they did is stood there and let him go on, you know. 5 hours, you know, straight. I wonder if he was on any drug or something, probably. And then in the end, he attempted to throw my TV in the water, or he wanted to. He attempted, and that's when the boys interfered. And that is when I decided to call the police and call them in and tell them the situation. And what I did before too, when I set him out, I went to the police and said, look, this is the situation. Drew is out of the marina now. We have nothing to do with him anymore, just in case, because I knew him, you know. So I called the police, and the police came in pretty fast, and they looked at him and said, out. You have nothing to do here anymore. You are not in the life of this family anymore. You have no rights here. Out. And do not come back. So, well, police, you know, you have to obey. So he finally left. And we could start to breathe again. And luckily, that's basically the last we saw from him. When I set him out the same day, I told him, look, this has nothing to do with your relationship to your daughter. So you're welcome to deal with her, to be with her, to take care of her, however you can. This is not part of this, but I need you out of my life and the other children's life. But what happened, basically, he barely ever showed up after that. I mean, how many, you wouldn't know, you were too small, but what you would do is once in a while him pop in. Oh, I want to see Melody, and they say, yeah, see her here. And he would like spend 5 minutes with her, give her a little money, and disappear again. Very, very irregular. So that was sad. And basically it hasn't really changed to this day. And that is the one bad part about it, but I think our peace and quiet in the house and our peace of mind was much more important than to keep him around for being a father once in a while when he decided to be so. So I cannot really regret that decision for her sake neither. I think it was a better choice. And this is the story with Drew, and well, it was a hard situation, and basically for me to be alone again without because he would help to a certain degree. He would do things to a certain degree. Mostly it was me still, but as I was saying, you have to weigh the good and the bad. And the bad was overwhelming after all these years, and so the good didn't really balance it out anymore. And it was a hard situation for me because suddenly I was alone again as a white woman in a strange land, and of course grapevine again and talks again, people you would know right away that he was out. And basically a lot of people knew the situation and knew about the abuse and stuff like that. They blamed me. They said, oh, that ugly white woman threw out poor Drew, and him is such a nice person, why she do that? So on top of everything else, a lot of people in the town would blame me, and that was not a nice situation either, but well, so be it, right? I mean, I went through it, I got through it, and after the 1.5 years that it took me to rebuild myself and get out of the situation, all I could say is, thank you, universe, I did it, you know? And I never regretted it. That's our story for today. So after that, life without a man in my life.
Yeah, guys, so that was that part of the story. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please remember to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you in our next video.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.